multi-step equations, involving the distributive property, and involving combining like terms, where you have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So this is 2.4 in the intro to algebra class. All right, I'm just going to steal some problems right out of the textbook. So those of you who are in the class, you can actually find these problems on page 136. So 5x minus 2 parentheses 4x plus 3 equals 9. Now this is definitely going to involve the distributive property, and it's also going to involve combining like terms. So I can see over here that it has a term with an x and a term with an x. So those are going to be terms that are like because they have the same variable and exponent. But first, I got to distribute. And when you distribute, always look to the left of the number, and you're going to see here that that's a negative 2. So if that's a negative 2, I have to include the negative with the 2 when I distribute. It's a little bit more difficult to keep your signs right if you don't do that. All right. So I distribute. Let me just make this a little bit clearer. So I distribute negative 2, and I just bring down the 5x. I can't put this and this together because orders of operation say, well, you can't add or subtract before you multiply. And plus, I can't do that because they're not like terms. So I just bring down the 5x. Negative 2 times positive 4 is going to be negative 8. And then you just tack on the x. And then negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6 equals 9. So now my parentheses are gone. I already did my distribution. And now I look on the left-hand side of the equal sign. And if they're on the same side, then I can just combine the like terms with the signs that they have. I don't have to change the sign if one x was over here and one x was over here. I would have to add or subtract to both sides. So I got positive 5x. When the signs are different, we subtract, take the sign of larger. So subtract, take the sign of the larger, and then minus 6 equals 9. And now it's a simple two-step equation. Get rid of the thing that's being added or subtracted to the variable, and then get rid of the thing that's being multiplied or divided to the variable. So inverse operation, add 6, gone, bring down the negative 3x equals, when the signs are the same, add and keep the sign. Opposite or inverse operation, instead of multiplication, we divide, get rid of it. Positive divided by a negative is negative. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X equals negative 5. Okay, what I'm going to do is pick another one out of the textbook, and this one's going to involve a fraction. Three halves, parentheses, b plus 1 equals 3. Okay, so obviously, if you take a look at this number, whether it's a fraction or not, doesn't matter. Take a look at this number. You can see that there's no plus or minus in between the parentheses. That means that we're going to be multiplying. And b plus 1, we can't do anything with them. We can't combine them. They're not like terms. So the only thing left to do is to distribute. So I distribute, and when I have 3 halves times b, it's just 3 halves b. And then 3 halves times positive 1 is just positive 3 halves equals 3. Now this is one way, one approach to do this problem. I'm going to show another approach on the other side after I finish this problem. Now I have a two-step equation. I don't have distribution, just two-step. So get rid of the 3 halves first. Get rid of the thing added or subtracted to the variable first. Inverse operation. Subtract 3 halves. Subtract 3 halves. That's gone. And now I bring down the 3 halves b equals. Now if I can do this in my head, great. But if I need to get a common denominator and work through all the detailed steps, that's fine. But 3 minus 3 1/2. 3 1/2 is really 1 1/2. So 3 minus 1 1/2 is positive 1.5 or positive 3/2. And then from there, I can do my pickup method, bring it onto the other side. So I have b equals, flip the fraction over. As long as I have multiplication here, I can pick it up and flip it on this side. So this 3/2 I brought down. This I picked up and brought over, so it's 2/3, and I'm multiplying. And then everything seems to simplify. Each numerator and denominator simplify, and I get b equal to 1. I'm going to show another approach. There's always another way to solve an equation. 3 over 2 parentheses b plus 1 equals 3. Over exaggerating that I have multiplication here, if I have some number times a variable equal to a number, the inverse operation of multiplication is division. I would divide both sides by that number. So if I'm allowed to do it there, I'm allowed to do it here. So if I divide both sides by 3/2, divide by 3/2, I can write it this way, or I can do that quick pick up and flip method. So I'm going to do that because it's a little bit less to write. So I'm going to pick this up, bring it on this side. So now I have b plus 1 equals 3 over 1 times 2 over 3. And then I got b plus 1 equals, the 3's simplify. I get 2. Subtract 1 from both sides. b equals 1. There's always going to be numerous ways of solving any equation. You just have to be familiar with a couple of different ways to solve each equation and pick the one that is always going to give you the right answer, and pick the one that's going to be maybe a little bit quicker and easier to get the answer. So when you're practicing solving these types of equations where it's multiple steps, be familiar with different ways, different things that work and that are quicker and easier for you. Also, supporting that you must know all of the basic steps: adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, integers and fractions and mixed numbers and decimals. All right, thank you.